Hello. So here is my solution to your row 2, which I completely agree. I'm on the purl side now, so I think you've got that one. You're going into the stitch as if to purl. Instead of wrapping the yarn around once, you're wrapping it around twice. I completely agree that the instructions were not very clear, and in fact, when I do my class about an introduction to pattern reading, I talk about how important it is to remember that patterns are a set of instructions communicated by somebody who thinks that that's the best way to relay that information. That doesn't mean that that's the way you think or the way you understand. And equally, that doesn't mean if you don't understand the way they've explained it, that doesn't mean that you are stupid or incapable or that this is too advanced. It simply means that your brain thinks another way. So that's our purl row. So now we're going to go on to the troublesome row 2. So as you know, you're going to knit the first stitch normally. Okay, now you're going to pass over, it says 2 stitches, dropping the yarn overs on the way. So there's 1 stitch. I'm going to pass that over and automatically I will drop the yarn over. Again, I'm just going to go into 1, and as you see, as I pull it off, it drops the 2. So now I've got these rather large 2 stitches. I'm going to pass them back over to the left hand needle. And now this is my first stitch and this is my second stitch, because that's how they ended up on my needle. That's my first stitch, that's my second stitch. I'm going to pass them back. So this remains as my first, this remains as my second. I'm going to insert the needle into the first and go straight into the second. So it's almost like knitting 2 together. I'm going to wrap the yarn and bring it through, but instead of knocking it off, I apologize, I'm going to go back around into the second stitch, into the back loop, into the back side of that stitch. And then I'm going to knit that stitch. And now I'm going to knock them both off. And as you see, I've still got 2 stitches from those 2 stitches. So once again, I'm going to take 1 stitch, slip it over, dropping off the yarn over as I do that. Take the second stitch, slip it over, dropping off the yarn over as I do. I'm going to pass them back to my left hand needle. My needle is going to go into the first stitch and then straight into the second, so it's going into them together. I'm wrapping the yarn, I'm knitting it through, but instead of knocking off, I'm now going to go back into the second stitch, the back loop of the second stitch, knit, and now knock off. To repeat this again, slip, knocking off the yarn over, slip, knocking off the yarn over, passing back to the left hand needle, needle goes into the first stitch, into the second stitch, knits through, and then back into the second stitch, into the back loop, knock off. Once more, slip, knocking off, slip, knocking off, pass over into both stitches, first stitch first, second stitch now, knit, go back around to the back loop of the second stitch, wrap the yarn, bring it through, knit the last one normally, and you will get those little crossover stitches. You've got your little lace here, and yeah, you've got your open work lace pattern. I hope that helps. Happy knitting!